All right, today's a little different. I am bringing parts back to John Deere, but not for that reason. Right here, we have some very big, gigantic oil lines. Just to give you perspective, they're the main drive lines for a 9600, and we knew one of our combines, they were getting old, so I wanted to order them. They were $1,800, which sucks, but I knew they weren't going to be cheap, and they're all kind of bent to Deere specifications, so you can't go to an aftermarket hose company and have them built real easy. We got these last week because I was just trying to be preventive and have them. Well, my local John Deere parts guy, who's awesome, called me asking me if we'd put them on. He just had a customer that blew a hose, and none of the other dealers have one, but he remembered we had them. And so to help the fellow farmer that I don't know and just karma in general, we're gonna send these back to Deere so another farmer can use them. So that way he can keep combining today. So kind of crazy, but hey, I've had guys do stuff like that for me, so kind of cool. You just seen there was a little untraditional. You don't usually send parts back to the dealer so another farmer can use them, but that's exactly what we did that day. And it worked out great. The farmer was able to put the hose on and get combining. The parts guy was telling me that later in the week. But yeah, kind of fun, kind of crazy. And like I said, my whole point of doing that was just to help out and hopefully get some karma credit. This week's just been absolutely crazy. We finished beans on Monday, which was a huge relief. And then the rest of the week here, we've had 4 days backed up by rain. And even today, it was just, I think by 10 a.m. I had over 32 phone calls and I was over 60 text messages into the morning. And it's just been crazy, even though you think rainy weather would kind of slow things down. It didn't. I actually thought I was going to have this great video for you involving this truck right here, 79 Ford Rado. The truck's never had a heater core, and actually that box that you see there on top of the engine, that's what that is. And next week you'll see a video on this. But kind of the way the last couple days have gone is just nothing's quite gone as planned. You can see we got corn head there. Hopefully tomorrow we can throw corn head on. But I was flipping through my phone here this afternoon, kind of looking at some other crazy things that we did. So we returned the hoses, and then another project that was a lot of fun. Me and mechanic Larry went up to help a neighbor. Neighbor has a 4020, and this is kind of fun and kind of crazy all at the same time. Has a 4020 that Larry's going to be working on in our shop here, and the tractor wouldn't go in gear. It actually locked up. This is one of the first times I've had one of these crazy adventures with you. Usually it's my dad. And Larry was explaining to me, if I understand it right, there's like 2 shafts. The one shaft has all the low gears, like gears 1 through 4, if I understand it. And then the bottom shaft has all the tall gears, or maybe it's vice versa. But the one shaft was locked up, so we had to jack up a tire, rock the tire back and forth so we get the tractor initially in neutral. Then we got it in neutral, and then Larry was able to get it to shift into high gear, the higher gear. So I think he got it shifted into 7th. And then we were finally able to get that. We were finally able to get that going, and Larry was able to drive it to our house. And just kind of one of those crazy things that's just like, well, it's kind of normal in Eric's world. The third kind of crazy thing that kind of happened was earlier in the week when I was combining, about a week ago right now. Everything was normal. I shut the combine off. Next afternoon, I come to the combine, and this happened. Kind of an unexpected surprise. You see how this is all kind of coated? Something, I think, is leaking, and it looks like diesel fuel, which is really odd. But I'm going to blow it off and see if I can't figure it out, because the one thing when you're combining soybeans, even though it's not the hottest day in the world, you don't want anything leaking, because this dust is actually pretty flammable. And so I'm gonna check this out a little bit, pull up to the shop, see what we got going on. Hydraulic oil's full, engine oil's good. Yeah, which is weird. So I'm gonna do a little investigation here. We'll figure this one out. This one. right, well, good news, we found it. It's not what I want to deal with today, but that's what we're going to deal with today. All right, I got to do some fixing. It is the next day, and I got a box with 3 different fuel lines in it. What all kind of transpired yesterday, we had this metal fuel line start leaking on us. And then I was on the phone with John Deere, and I was talking to him about combines here, and I gave him the machine serial number, but then that got us to bring up all 3 fuel lines that we needed. So we actually then went to the engine serial number, and there too, that didn't clarify anything. So there is, in the parts game, there's a thing with John Deere, there's a thing what you can do, there's a thing that you can do called machine down, and you can overnight parts from their main warehouse in Milan, I think it is, Milan, Illinois, somewhere like that. I just know it is, if we need it tomorrow, machine down it. So you got to pay the freight on it. Luckily, these lines are super light and the freight is super cheap. But basically, all 3 of these lines were sitting in Illinois yesterday at this time. So pretty cool, the world we live in. The downside of stuff like this, and this is kind of the reason we know this is basically an $80 to $90 part that brought the whole machine to a standstill. We couldn't run it. I tried brazing it. That didn't go well. And so luckily we're able to do stuff like this, machine down parts, get them the next day so we can get the machine up and going. But anything that has an engine, the downside with it is pretty much a $50 to $150 part can bring the whole thing to a screeching halt. And so that's why if you're going to play this game, you got to know your parts guys really well. Yep. Then kind of the 4th thing that happened this week that kind of happened, we also had another little breakdown with the combine. Nothing crazy, but I actually ended up using zip ties to zip tie up a cable. All right, well, for the most part, everything's going really good. Kind of funny. I had to stop to make a phone call, and then all of a sudden I noticed the hydrostat, the lever that we push forward to make a combine go forward or back, wasn't moving forward, back, or in any of the gears. So after a slight heart attack later, started looking around, got on the internet, reading some forums, and I think I just figured it out. I can see a coupler there that is no longer hooked up on the cable. And so we're gonna try, dug through, I got some zip ties. We're gonna try and zip tie it and see if we can't make it through the day, because it's 6:30 at night and John Deere's already closed. But hopefully we can make it work just for tonight. We're gonna try this. All right, we're moving. So we're gonna be gentle with it the rest of the night. Then we're gonna be at Deere right away in the morning, getting a new one. I'm gonna keep combining, and heck yeah, here we go. A few more acres tonight. Hopefully we can make it. And then the other thing that happened is we did a video last week when my dad buried the John Deere tractor, the 4850, with the scraper. Well, then later that night, I come walking by the tractor and I see this. There's no scraper behind the tractor. Now, the scraper bowl is designed to break away from the hitch like this. And so we've done it before, but I was just shocked after I pulled my dad out. Then later that night, I come walking up, and what you're seeing here is actually the next morning in the daylight. Here's the tractor, here's the 4850, and here's the hitch, and the scraper bowl is back down by the ponds. It never is normal around me, that's for sure. And actually, even like all this stuff going on, truthfully, we could probably put out 3, 4, 5 videos a week with all the different crazy stuff that goes on around me, but the editing's kind of the main bottleneck right now. And so yeah, what started off the last couple days is a project that I was hoping we'd get done and put a cool video out, putting a heater core in Rado. Well, that's gonna wait till next week. We also got, if you didn't look behind there, we got the corn head. We were working on corn head today, and we're hoping the weather turns around the next couple days and we can get combining corn. I also got 4650 in here that we were doing some work to. And so just kind of funny. It's like that week that we didn't seem to accomplish a whole lot, but also had a whole lot of other crazy stuff going on. And so I write it off as the life of a single farmer, or just the life of Eric. It's never predictable.